Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another Club 100 video. This time we are at Shennington, which is somewhere in Oxfordshire anyway, and it's my first time at the circuit, so we did a little bit of practice before the race. We had a half-an-hour test session that I split up with Harrison Kirkham. Got to grips with the circuit a little bit, and thankfully the track dried in time for the test session, and indeed for our first heat of the day. This was heat number 1. And to make things a little bit cooler, I had my brand spanking new suit to kind of commemorate my first ever time at the Shennington circuit. So we're starting from P8, I believe, for this first heat. You can see that Mike Coppin is further up the road. So is Steph Theodoru and Dan Seeger, and I think that's Matt Ellis as well, starting on the front row. So a couple of quick drivers in this race, and I wanted to get my head down. I wanted to go into this second round of the season as aggressive Yusuf. I think I was being a bit passive back at Buckmore Park, and I just wanted to keep on improving with my aggression, making my way through the field as quickly as possible. And into turn 1, we find a little bit of a gap. We're getting pushed as well. There's always some loading into turn 1, and we make our way through the opening sequence of corners rather well. We're behind Ravage, and we look to the inside, nice and late on the brakes, up the inside. We don't go into the back of Steph, and look at that, we're up into third place. And we haven't even finished the opening lap, so I was really chuffed to bits. I had a big smile under my helmet after this first half lap because, hey, I nailed it, right? Going from P8 up to third on the opening lap and just behind Mike Coppin and Steph is a pretty good spot to be in. And now we're heading into this right-hander, but skipping to lap 4, this is where I really caught up to Steph and Mike for the first time. And Steph ends up going wide, and I see a gap and I say, you know what, I've got to throw my car in there. If I see a gap that's opened up like that and I don't take it, I'd be kicking myself afterwards for not taking it. We don't get the best of drives though, and Steph is now on our inside into turn 1. This gives us the inside into turn 2. A little bit of contact between us, and I leave Steph room on the outside because I'm very nice. I don't drive him off the circuit. And then going through the left, Steph is ahead, moves straight to the inside, covers me off, and I decide, you know what, let me try to hang it around the outside. I'll be honest, that was very, very stupid. You can't hang it around the outside of that hairpin, as I found out. And now I've got Dan Seeger on my inside, heading into the chicane, and I lock up the rear and I spin like an absolute numpty. And then I try to rejoin behind these guys. I don't keep the car all the way to the right. It causes an issue for some of the guys behind me. And I pick up a 6th place penalty for an unsafe rejoin. So, yeah, not exactly how my first heat I would have wanted it to go. Considering I was running in third, I had the pace to go for second, maybe even win. At the same time, I could have been passed by Dan, so I might have finished 4th. But it was just really, really frustrating because it was looking like such a good start to the day, and as a result, I had 6th place penalty from unsafe rejoin and 2 place penalties for a bit of contact that occurred. So it was plus 8 penalties overall, and as a result, I finished this race in 16th, which is the worst result I've ever had in a heat in my life. And considering the pace was alright for this first heat of the day, it was really annoying. And I don't know what really happened with the rear. I don't know if it was a bit damp. It didn't look damp. I think I just went onto the brakes too hard, so nothing really more to say about that. Moving on then to our second heat of the day. This time we are starting from third. We're on the inside of the circuit, and again, I want to take things exactly the same way as I did in the first heat, because the first heat worked really well for me at the start, and I'm going to do the same thing. So on the power, we get a good getaway. I don't know, maybe I'm just in a really good power band. Maybe I've got a supercar. But we're up into second before turn 1, and then we go right up the inside into turn 2. And just like that, guys, we're leading. We're having a monster of opening laps. Now, I wonder if Yusuf is going to bottom it again. Find out after the break. No, but heading through the hairpin, I just wanted to get my head down. And I knew I was at the front, and no offense to anyone, but this wasn't a strong field. It didn't have the likes of any of the big C1 names. It didn't have any of the big C2 names either. So I knew this was a race that if I could get to the front, I should win, right? Because, hey, I've got to clean it. I just need to get my head down. But heading down into this triple right-hander, I leave the door open and I get overtaken. And to be honest, I wasn't too bothered because at this point I thought, okay, I've been overtaken. That's fine. Just get my head down, get back past him and, you know, continue on my way. And I just need to sit back, wait for an opportunity to present itself. But I don't know. I was just struggling a little bit. You can see that we don't quite get the exit out of turn 2, which is definitely a me issue. Starting though lap 3, we are still close. We are still in touching distance, and I have a big moment heading into the left. I don't know if I got a push from behind, but either way, we get a good run coming out of turn 2. And now I'm closing in, and I'm starting to think, hey, maybe I can have a go into the hairpin. He's going to go defensive, so I have a look for the outside. I'm not going to try to hold it around the outside, but I didn't really know where else to put my cart, so I just thought I'll just poke my nose here so he knows that I am battling with him. Sadly though, I did start to fall back, and at the start of lap 5 I get overtaken up the inside, but we've got the inside for turn 2, so we hold on to the position. And yeah, it was a little bit annoying having that battle because it meant that the guy in first was just able to pull away, and now I'm going defensive into the hairpin just so I can't be overtaken. Move the cart out to the left right at the end so I can still get a somewhat decent line through the hairpin and an exit onto this short straight. But to be honest, that was pretty much this heat in a nutshell, right? Coming on to the final lap, I think this was my best lap of this particular heat, a 52.9. Not a particularly great lap, but it is what it is. So as a result, I've got a 16th and a 2nd, and if my first heat was, you know, a podium, I'd be in pretty good standing, right? A 3rd and a 2nd from first 2 heats, not too shabby. But yeah, I shouldn't be too disappointed with 2nd, but obviously I was, because I was leading at one point and I just didn't pull away. And even once I got overtaken, I wasn't able to stick to the leader, so I just wasn't driving well, I think is the bottom line. Heading into the final heat, this was a heat of death. You can see Dante Dillon up ahead. I've got Anwar Beryl Smith alongside me, and I've got Mike Coppin behind me, and Steph is further up the road as well. So it's absolute carnage, and Steph gets tagged, and as a result we get a false start, so we will have to grid up again, and we lose a couple of minutes from the heat too. So we've all re-gridded up now. We're back into our correct starting positions, and this time we'll try not to kill Steph. That would be helpful, because Steph was having a pretty good day, considering I think he came 2nd or 3rd in the first heat. I don't know what happened in the next heat. It might have been another 2nd. But anyway, through turn 1 we go. We're on the outside. Anwar finds a nice way through up the inside, and I'm just trying to push, I think that might be Jeremy Deeks in front of me, along as he gets almost airtime as Mike goes through. I think, I'm not sure who's alongside me. I know Hussein's further up the road. That's Mr. Sheargold. And we're just trying to make our way through. It's not a good start, not anywhere near as good as what we had in the previous heat, as I push Hussein along, just so that we can both get through in for this chicane. And then I know I'm on the outside, so I'm just going to get yeeted if I keep my cart, I should say, there. So I just back out of the move, and I think with this we're now in P9, and I thought, okay, we're in a pretty good situation, and I thought, right, heads down, maybe we can catch Hussein, as Mike gets upset with Hussein sending it up the inside, which, to be honest, I thought at the time was a perfectly fine move, and still do, but I guess Mike just wants to, you know, crack on through the field because Dante is charging ahead. Sadly, though, for me, I just didn't have the pace. Underlying story of the day, just didn't have the pace. And yeah, heading on to the start of the final lap, we have eventually been able to reel Hussein back in, as well as a couple of drivers up ahead. We get a good run through turn 2, or maybe it's better to say Hussein doesn't get a good run through the corner, and I don't know, I just don't get the drive. I think I just keep the steering wheel a little bit too tight and scrub off speed, and still trying to find a way through. I try to look for the switchback, I just get offline and lose grip and just don't get a good exit. So with that is pretty much this heat done. I think someone up ahead had a penalty, so I ended up finishing this in P8 or P9, so I had a 2nd, an 8th and a 16th, which obviously is not very good. So yeah, I kind of had to start in the B final as a result, which is not where I wanted to be. If I had finished like 2nd or 3rd in that first heat, I would have been starting somewhere between 10th and 15th for the A final. So it's a shame how it all kind of panned out, because it's just one heat, and it's that one heat to start the day, and you have one bad heat and it literally chucks everything away. We're starting in 5th place then for our B final, and as you can see, Samuel Essery is starting in 2nd, and alongside me is Ashley White, who's also very quick. So I would like to include myself as a quick driver. So there are 3 rather quick drivers in this heat, 3 drivers who really should not be in the B final. Matt Ellis is no slouch either. Russell Cooper was having, I think, a relatively decent day. He's starting on a pole. So I knew I just had to get through the field. I told Sam before the race, if I can get through and I'm behind you, let's just work together, pull away from Ashley. Let's not risk costing either of us an A final. But I don't really get a particularly good getaway, and now I'm on the outside into turn 2, and I say, you know what, I'm going to hang it all the way around the outside, get on the power nice and early, we get a decent drive, and now I'm just going to try to tuck in behind Mr. Ellis, and then he moves to the outside, so I'll say, you know what, let me push Ashley White through, who is probably the last person I want to get through along with me, but hey, you know, sometimes you have to work with your enemies. And we're up into third, so a decent start from 5th to 3rd in the first few corners, and now again, heads down, try to work through the field. And Sam, Ashley, and myself, we formed a nice train for about 4 laps. We were kind of working together. No opportunities really presented themselves. And here, Ashley makes a mistake through the chicane, and that gives me a glorious opportunity to bring my kart up the inside, heading into the triple right-hander, the Misano triple right-hander, as I like to call it, because it does kind of remind me of the Misano circuit, if anyone's familiar with that. But up the inside I go, very clean move. I think that's pretty much inch perfect. Couldn't do it any better even if I go back. And now we're really closing up to Sam Essery. Apparently Slipstream is kind of mental here, and I think that was in effect, because I don't think this car was like some major rocket or anything like that. We get a good run, and again we're closing in to Sam. I'm trying to have a look. Where do I want to go? Up the inside. Little bit of contact, but I think that's just rubbiness racing. I don't even think that's like a really robust move. Just up the inside, we plant our kart there, we get the move done. Heading though on to lap 7, things start to get a bit touchy because Ashley White goes up our inside and we can't hold it around the outside of the opening corner. So I try to tuck back in behind Ashley. Something else I did know, which you guys haven't been able to see, is Sam got a penalty. And I saw the number 8 appear. Sam goes up our inside. I try to look for a switchback. We're practically 3 abreast, but I don't get the drive. However, Sam had a penalty, and I knew this. I wanted to win the race, but I knew that the A final was more important than winning the race. So I didn't want to do anything stupid. And I already had a warning or 2. And I'm very prone to doing stupid things. So I was really telling myself every time I had an opportunity to send someone, I was like, don't do it, Yusuf. Don't get yourself a penalty and get yourself like out of the A final, because I'm in the A final right now. As long as I finish behind Sam, it doesn't matter. Obviously, though, I want bragging rights over Sam. I want to be able to say, hey, look, I beat you. Even if you didn't have that penalty, I still would have made it into the A final. But Ashley's kind of been able to pull away because Sam's defending from me. And we get a good run coming through the chicane. And now I'm going to have a look to the inside if I can get the drive, but I just don't. So I have to slot in behind this time around. And I'm just trying to see if there's any way for me to come through. I end up trying to go for a wide line into the corner, but I just get off the racing line. It's a little bit slippy. And then cutting forward now to lap 10. So a little bit further on from where we were. There is a yellow flag out, so I go slow in, fast out. I get a really good run, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull up alongside. So I'm just trying to push Sam along, because part of me will still think, look, we can catch Ashley together, because I know Sam's a really, really quick driver. But I don't know, maybe he just hasn't had a good car, but we're just a little bit off the pace of Ashley, or at least Sam is, because I thought anyway at the time, if I was ahead, I would have been able to stick with Ashley. But then again, everyone thinks that, with nothing really to back it up. Again, we get a decent drive, we got some slipstream. I had to think about going up the inside, but instead, just being nice. I give Sam a little push. I have a think about going to the inside. I mess up, Sam messes up more. So we just get the drive coming through the corner. And up into second we go, and at this point I thought, look, Cooper was catching up to us, so I just thought, look, maybe we can work together to try to close up to Ashley. And I thought, Sam's probably not going to do a crazy move that costs me the A final and allows Russell to get past. So coming into this corner, I thought, you know what, I won't go fully defensive. Big mistake from me, because Sam goes up my inside, and to be honest, I can't really blame him, right? Because he wanted to prove that he could get the A final. He would have been really, really annoyed. But I'm telling myself anyway that I could have defended the position, but I didn't, because I knew Sam had a penalty, and I didn't think he'd try to overtake me. So if he didn't have a penalty, I would have defended that position, hands down. And hey, maybe we would have both taken each other out. What I didn't know is that Russell Cooper had a 2-place penalty. So at this point, I was really mad because I thought I just missed out on the A-finals, and there's 2 laps left. I managed to go up the inside through turn 1. I leave Russell space into 2, and now I just look for the switchback. I kind of get a decent drive. The issue is I've got the outside for this left-hand kink, but I've got just about enough momentum to keep my car alongside Russell's rear wheels, which means I get to go up the inside into the hairpin, retake 3rd place, and get back into, well, at the time, what I thought was a final 2nd place, or 2nd place in the B final. It turns out I was 2nd place in the B final anyway, because they both had penalties. Across the line then to finish the B final, and yeah, at least I got to get extra time of karting at Shennington. So moving on then to the A final, we're starting at the very back. For those people who don't fully know how karting works, essentially the 3 heats determines your starting position for the final. If you finish top 2 of the B final, you get promoted to the back of the A final, and I'm starting dead last because only the top 2 of the B final go through. I came 2nd. Ashley White, who's on the left of your screen, came and won the B final. So I don't really know what I was thinking. I knew I had pace. I knew I deserved to be further up the field if I didn't bottle it, so I guess I didn't deserve it. So I had a lot of confidence coming into this, and I knew, right, I can get a lot done, as that was a bit of a moment for, I forget that helmet. I'll remember it in a bit. Either way, we're on the inside then through the hairpin, and as per usual, I am including the entirety of the A final for this video. No cuts, because A finals are always fun. You don't want to see cut footage for that. We go up the middle. We've got Andrew Wood further up the road, as I think that was Hussein a little bit wide, as everyone's just kind of getting really grumpy with each other. Really grumpy with each other, can I say that? Either way, I'm trying to find a way through, just trying to push the people in front of me along. And one thing I am going to complain about is I got a penalty for 3 contacts. I don't really know how, because I think that's the first contact warning. Stupid move. I got up the inside, and now, because I lost so much time, I get absolutely slaughtered by everyone. That's who it is. It's George Lawler, who's on the right of your screen right now. So yeah, I dropped 4 places for no reason. I could have just stuck behind. Stupid move. I thought I could get the car stopped. I didn't. There's a yellow flag out, and to be honest, there was a yellow flag here for pretty much the entirety of the race. But one thing I would like people's opinions on is, how do I get 3 contact warnings? Because at most I can see 2, like maybe I got 2 on the first lap, but I can't see anything after that. I push people on corner exit, but that's it. So I'm a little bit annoyed that I got penalty. There's something else that I'm a lot more annoyed about, but we'll get onto that later, as these guys are having a bit of an argy-bargy. I'm trying to see if I can put my cart anywhere. Nowhere really to go. These guys go wide. That allows me to slot up the inside of corner exit. Sadly means, though, I've got the outside for the straight and turn 1. So into turn 1 we go again, just kind of holding my position. Again, no real contact, maybe just brushing the rear end, but that is, I think, perfectly acceptable by everyone's standards. Again, yellow flag still out, so a bit annoying that I can't do any overtaking into this corner. So braking early and just looking to get a good exit coming out of the hairpin. And I get the little finger point sign, you know, let's work together. And I thought, you know what, I'll sit behind you. I don't mind. But if I get an opportunity, I will try to overtake you. And again, pushing this guy along on corner exit. So I'm not costing him time. I'm literally speeding him up so that he has a better shot of overtaking the driver ahead, who won our second heat. Again, into this final corner, trying to be nice and wide on entry, just so that I can get a good run coming out of the corner. And I get a warning for contact, and I didn't contact anyone. Like, I literally didn't make contact on that lap, so I don't know how I've got that. Maybe it's for, because that's my second contact now, I think, as I'm just pushing this guy along into the hairpin. I have a think about going up the inside, decide against it, slot in behind. These two are now duking it out, and I wanted to give Mr. Black Suit a push so that he could get past. And again, just pushing, heading into the corner. I'm not unsettling his car, nothing like that, just helping him along. At least that's how I view it. If I was in his position and someone pushed me like that, I'd be very, very happy about it, because it'd make me go faster. Anyway, heading into the triple right-hander once again. I'm still looking for a way through, and again, looking for these, you know, switchbacks. and, you know, not finding any way through. So I give him a push on corner exit. And there you go. Again, I've got a warning contact. That's my second contact warning. I have no idea what I'm getting these contact warnings for, because the last 2 laps, I genuinely don't think I've done anything wrong. So if any of the other Club 100 drivers are watching this, if I have done something wrong that I'm being completely oblivious to, then do let me know, because I don't want to get more penalties in later races. And if it's the marshals that have happened to make a mistake, then fair enough, right? Sometimes they make mistakes. It happens. Into the chicane we go, and again, getting a good run. We are slowly closing to the field up ahead as we make our way towards the end of the 5th lap. And at this point, I'm starting to get tired of sitting behind. I'm thinking, you know what? I want to make some overtakes. So up the inside, we're going to go. Funny thing is, I didn't even remember I overtook on this lap. I was just thinking, I was watching this and like, you know, I've been sat behind for a while. I need to make an overtake. And then I get a bloody penalty. For what? Like, I don't even know. Like, I'll put my hands up and accept when I do something stupid like the rejoin, but what have I done wrong? Like, the first lap was a bit sketchy. Sure, I'll take a contact warning for that. What am I getting the rest of the penalties for? Either way, really nice move up the inside. Cleanly done. Get the job done. We move to the inside just to make sure no shenanigans happen into this chicane. And I think, great, I've got 2 positions. I can start to close in. I believe that's George Lawler and Andrew Ward up ahead. It's a bit of a gap, so I need to get my head down for a lap and try to reel them in. And I'm just telling myself I don't care about the 2-place penalty. It means nothing for me. Heading into this corner, I get attacked from behind. And this is the first, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit salty about it, but it's the same driver over and over and over again. The guy who won my second heat. So he makes that contact with me into that corner, which frustrated me because I had to go wide as a result, and it cost me a whole bunch of time. And then just more and more stuff happens, and it was just really annoying because I couldn't catch up to the field in front because these contacts kept happening. Like, for example, into here, you see my car gets unsettled. Sam Loveless, sadly, in the tyre barrier. But again, I've been contacted twice in the space of half a lap. And no contact warnings, no penalties or anything. Meanwhile, I got two-place penalty for I don't know what. And I know I shouldn't be salty, but hey, I'm going to show a bit of salt because it did ruin what was otherwise a fun day. Coming into here, I was turning in. I saw them coming in like absolute lunatics. If I'd kept turning in, I literally would have been T-boned. So I backed out of the move, and I lost 2 places. And that was annoying because now I had to do all of that work again. And I could have been catching up to the field up in front, but I'm not being allowed to. There's a yellow flag out, which is annoying because I'm side by side. So, you know, I can't go for a send up the inside. And I've got to sit behind, which is of course annoying as the marshal have to repair the tyre barrier that Sam Loveless was in. So now I'm just sitting behind again, waiting for an opportunity. Again, pushing, maybe that time I was pushing a bit too hard into the chicane, but I was just thinking I'll brake a little bit before when I do, and I guess the driver in front has a bit of an earlier braking point, as can happen. Heading then into the right-handers, I'm thinking about maybe going up the inside, no way through. He goes sideways, so I think, hey, I can get a good run. But you kind of got to hold the steering wheel a bit tighter than you otherwise would. So that cost me time. And honestly, I was just getting really frustrated. Bit of contact because he jumps on the brakes heading through turn 1, which is really weird. Like, at most you lift. So that caught me out. Again, yellow flag, so I can't even go for a move up the inside into this corner, which is really annoying. Meanwhile, the guy who got past both of us is now on the back of that train, and I'm sitting in the car thinking that could have been me if it wasn't for that silly send into the final corner that I had to deal with. I have a bit of a mistake here, which actually causes a bit of carnage behind me. And I looked behind and I saw people spinning as they had to jump on the brakes, and it caused like a random concertina effect. We've fallen back now from the guys up ahead, and I think this is actually now my fastest lap of the race, and it was a pretty damn good lap if I do say so myself. A 52.3, so let's run through it. Turn 1 should be completely flat. I give a little lift just so I can keep the car to the left because I'm not good enough otherwise. On the power, let the car all the way out. It's kind of weird to figure out where the apex is for turn 2. Through the kink of 3, let the car all the way out. Again, pull it back to the left. Hard on the brakes. Could have been harder, but it's all about getting a nice late apex, mid-late apex. using the curb on exit and getting good drive coming out of the corner. But again, there's probably been another couple of tenths in this lap. Using all of the curb, keep the car to the right on the power nice and early. Just carry the momentum through the chicane, really. Shame I couldn't do this on every single lap. But a good lap so far, and then heading into the triple right-hander, you kind of want to brake just before you get into the second right. Nice and wide on the power early. You can let the car all the way out. Don't touch the curb on the inside. And yeah, 52.3. Very good lap. I didn't realize I had done a 52.3 while I was in the car. This lap is a 52.9 because we have caught up to the train of karts in front of us. And now, again, I know I have the pace because I caught up to them, and I'm thinking, right, how do I find a way through? This time round, there's no yellow flags into this corner, so I have a think about going up the inside, but he brakes late, so I just look for the good old switch back. He goes up the inside of George Lawler. I push him along so that I can get ahead as well, heading into the S's. I leave George space just in case he's going to send one up the inside, but he doesn't. And yeah, we gain one position. And I'm just thinking, right, where do I want to pull off this move? And I'm going to be honest, I was very frustrated with what happened before, so I have a send up the inside here. He does have the door closed, and I kind of push him out of the way. And I will accept I am to blame for that, but at the time I was just like, you know what, you don't deserve this position. This is my position, and you would have T-boned me if I hadn't made avoiding action, so you shouldn't have this position in the first place. It's kind of how I was thinking about it, so I thought if I'm going to do a forceful move, it's just tit for tat. Probably the wrong way to think about it, but I was having a really bad run, and again I get hit into that hairpin once again. So that's like the third time contact has been made, and that's literally a bump and pass as far as I'm concerned. He pushes me wide into a corner, gets a drive, takes the position. So once he's got past me through a bump and pass, the other time he's got past me because he would have T-boned me, but you know, I moved out of the way, and he's, you know, hit me 2 other times, which has slowed me down. So in my head, I'm not thinking about what I've done. I'm just thinking about the fact that I've had to overtake him like 3 times. And now I got up the inside into turn 1. I'm on the outside now for turn 2, so I'm trying to think what I can do. So I'm just going to push Mr. Matthew Cockram along. And look on your right, guys. There's a yellow flag out. Yellow flag means no overtaking. But here's what happened. I turn, I get hit under a yellow flag, and I get overtaken under a yellow flag. Isn't that fun? I said I was going to be salty. I'm going to end the saltiness now. But yeah, that's why I was in a very bad mood after the A final, because that happened the entirety of the A final, and I was just sat there thinking how much further up this group of karts I could have been if that hadn't happened. So I think I have a right to be a little bit salty, maybe not as salty as I was, but I think it's just move on to Wilton, right? I think that's the only thing I can do, just put Shennington behind me. It's a shame because I did really like the circuit. I think it took me a bit too long to get to grips with the track. I think by the A final, by midway through the B final, I was starting to drive a lot better. But it just happens too often in sprints. It just takes me way too long to kind of figure out how to drive well at a track. But Wilton Mill I know inside out, so I genuinely can't have any excuses there. Just need to get a good set of karts and see what I can do. I was very frustrated at this point in the race, so I do something extremely, extremely dumb into the final corner, and I knew as I was doing it that I would lose a position, but I did it anyway because I was really annoyed. I tried to go around the outside, and I know the gap's always going to disappear, so contact is made, and as a result, George Lawler flies past. But I genuinely didn't care because this is probably going to be my drop round. So yeah, sorry to end this race on a bit of a salty note. On the plus side, my GoPro recorded everything, which is kind of insane. A shame it happened for this race, or for the race that I don't do particularly well at. But I'll be back for Wilton Mill in a few weeks' time. So thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, do drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all at Wilton. Goodbye.